first official GameSplash podcast. My name's Danny Mack. I am the owner of GameSplash, and I'm joined today by Tallulah. Say hi, Tallulah.
Hello. I didn't realise this is going to be that kind of introduction, but hi.
Yeah. Deck.
Yo.
And Milo from GatewayGamer.com.
Hello.
And today we are just testing the water for podcasting. So let's start with the typical introductory topic of what everyone's been playing. Let's start with Tallulah. What have you been playing, Tallulah?
Damn it, me first. I have been playing a lot of Final Fantasy Lightning Returns. I must admit, I probably spent more time than most people should on it.
What's it like? Is it a lot like 13?
No, it's completely different. In a lot of the Final Fantasy battle styles, it's all very much turn-based, and you're basically saying what every single character is doing, and you have to pick your skills and things like that. Whereas in Lightning Returns, it's very much you are spamming the hell out of buttons because they are your attacks, and you've got 3 different what they call schematas, and you change between the 3. You can customise them how you like and things like that. But you basically choose your playstyle however you like. You only are playing Lightning. She's your singular character. You don't have a party with you or anything like that. So you can play however you like. You could be something that just hits the crap out of things.
So was it like Devil May Cry, but Final Fantasy Edition?
Yeah, kind of.
I think that's the one thing that puts me off, though, is that you don't have a party. I feel like that's so Final Fantasy, and that would bug me if it's taken away.
I think it kind of is, but the story revolves around Lightning so much that you couldn't have a party because the people you would have in the party, like the characters from 13 and 13 too.
It's all such great characters. And
they are,
loves
but they're
them.
still in the game, but you are helping save their souls.
That was sarcasm.
No, they are great.
13.
They are great.
Parties are coming back in Type 0, aren't they?
They are indeed, yes, and they are in 15 as well, as far as I know.
They are.
I saw there was a massive cast for Type 0, wasn't there?
It's huge. I think
Huge.
It's 15 playable characters.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Really?
I've been playing it a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, definitely.
Oh yeah, have you got a copy of it? Have you?
I do. I managed to get it a bit early.
A bit early. So
And,
you're
playing-
kind of. Are you under embargo or?
Oh, no, I just bought it online. I've
Alright.
been playing the crap out of it. And then 15 came out. Episode
Duske. That's the
Which is
extra
this-
that came with when you buy.
Yeah, it's the strangest
Type
title.
0.
Duske.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it gives it a true show of what's in 15, though, apparently.
hopefully not, because there's something still to be desired, I think. I mean, it's amazing. It's not 5 hours like they say it is. It's about 2.5 if you're lucky. But there's not a lot going on, and apart from being a nice open space to run around, there's not a lot going on. The battle's kind of you hold square to win. And that's it. I was expecting more Kingdom Hearts, and I kind of got a bit, I don't know, just hold square. Oh, you won, congratulations. Here's no XP.
So is that
Thanks.
So is that going to be released in episodic format?
No, it's coming out as
It's
a full
just an
game.
extra to come out with
Okay.
Type 0, just to kind of give a bit of a teaser, I think, and get more people interested, because of course with the amount of time being spent on it, there is a lot of
Also,
difficulty.
no one really
getting into
cares
it.
about Type 0.
No,
I like thought it, but there's so many people who are like, oh, I'm just getting it just for 15.
I haven't even looked at it. That's
There you
because I
go.
thought it was just one of those small sort of side games that
But it started off as one.
series seem to release.
Yeah, it started off as one,
as
and then
one.
it's evolved into this big. kind of-
Okay.
Personally,
massive
I've never really been into Final Fantasy games. I mean,
What?
I think it's one of those things that if you play it as a kid, you grow up and you love it, and then you just play
Yeah.
the hell out
The
of
only,
every single game you can get your hands on
Yeah.
to.
the only involvement I had was watching the anime movie Advent Children.
It's a bad place to start, but
It is a bad place.
I
to
thought it was
start.
an awesome movie.
It is an
Like-
awesome movie, but until you play the games, you've got no idea exactly who anyone is, the relationships between the
Yeah.
characters.
well, it's like watching the
what's
second
going
Lord
on
of the
in the
Rings without
world.
watching the first one. You're a bit confused.
But when I saw Type 0, I was like, this has got so many gameplay elements, because you've got the strategy elements.
oh, we don't talk about the strategy elements there.
That looked pretty cool to
god
me.
awful.
But then I thought there was so much going for it that this would be a good time for someone who's not really been into Final Fantasy maybe to jump in, because there's...
If I've got any suggestion as to which Final Fantasy you should jump in on, the later ones I suggest 10 or 10-2, because
That's where I started.
the storyline drags you in, and then the gameplay and the graphics, oh my god, the cinematics are beautiful. Just the way that Square Enix has the ability to make characters look so real is fantastic. That's really what's gotten me, and that's been throughout the entire Final
But if
Fantasy
only the story
series.
was as good.
I think it
I
grasps
enjoyed the
me
story. I enjoyed
when-
the story, but I think I preferred probably like Lightning's story better in 13. Things
Yeah.
like that.
The thing that surprised me about it and always caught me when I was younger is the matter of fact that it was like the PlayStation 2 that I was first playing it on, and they could really push that game engine to produce
Oh,
something
yeah, it's
like that.
absolutely
And that's
stunning
what
what they
surprised me.
managed
Like
to
you wouldn't
do.
you'd see mediocre companies coming up with not even close graphics like that on 360 and PS3, and that's what always caught me, because they pushed it even though it was such old hardware still.
Yeah.
Have you played it again recently?
What, 10?
Yeah, when it came out on PS3. The faces look smushed, like they've
Really?
been compressed on people's face, like against their skin.
I
It
think
is
it's
really
just
weird
flat.
if you play like. You don't really see that on the PlayStation 2 game, but if you play it on a wider screen, like, because I've got quite a big one,
Sticks
it
out.
still expands well, but only to a certain point. So once you reach about like 32 inches, you're pushing it, and I've got 38 inch, so that extra 6 inches, damn.
So if you play a 32 megabyte game, like I don't know, Final Fantasy 6, aka the best one, then you're having a good time. No
Yeah.
matter what screen size.
I think that the aging of like video game graphics is really strange, because I think you can still get away with 16-bit. Like, I think that still looks it looks okay.
Especially recently, we're getting a lot of indie companies making a lot of
Resurgencing,
platformers
yeah.
and stuff like that. So it has definitely come back in, I would say, the past 3
But then
years.
if you go back to like PS2, early polygon-based graphics are horrific. But you could still get away with
That's not what
like.
you're talking about. Bubsy Returns is one of the finest games ever made.
But then let's look at Lara Croft. on
With
the
all
pier.
that pointy nipples.
Exactly. And arguably a pointier face.
That's quite true. It's kind of like she stuck one of Madonna's bras on her face.
She is like Pyramid Head's wife.
I'd be into that.
That'd be
But
a
at
really
the end of the
interesting TV show.
day, it was the game itself that made it, not the graphics. I mean, being able to push that butler into the freezer and locking him in, who wouldn't want to do that?
That was the selling point. I remember so much of my time. I can't even remember the game other than that. Trying to get that butler in that freezer.
Remember dinosaurs?
You could also push him into the pool.
There are dinosaurs at some point.
There are dinosaurs, yeah. You
See,
have
I'm
to,
not crazy.
You have to dodge them at some point, don't you? Like running around, and then there's just some random dinosaur appears.
That's the limits of my knowledge. There are dinosaurs.
Yeah. Like,
I remember I was so young when I played it. I think I got to the mansion bit, which there inside the mansion there's this.
Isn't that the tutorial?
I think it is a tutorial because
yeah,
there's
in
this.
the tutorial, start off in Lara Croft's mansion,
And
and
then
you kind of run around and then figure out how to actually start quests.
Then I think I got to the first mission, and then a tiger killed me. But because I was so young, I never got past the first mission. So most of my time spent on that game was getting the butler in the freezer. And he wasn't like a normal butler, was he? He was pretty scary
He was really
He was a
creepy.
creepy looking butler.
because he like moaned like a zombie as well.
He just like shuffle after you.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
So that's why you had to put him in the freezer, so you didn't have to walk around the house like it was the Spencer estate. Resident Evil.
Yeah. What have you been playing recently, Dan?
Um.
I'm gonna do deck as well.
Well, for the purposes
Eventually.
of review, I bought this game called Zombie Driver. If you've heard of
Yeah,
it.
I read your review. Yeah.
I mean, I bought it, and it's a simple arcade game.
The important question is, are you a zombie who drives?
That
it
was
like a
that was
taxi
I was
game?
writing the review, and I was like, this is a misleading title because you're not a zombie, but you're a driver.
Are you like a taxi service for zombies? So
No,
you're a zombie driver.
the only thing you do with zombies is kill. So maybe zombie
Killer?
driver, zombie killer, maybe. I don't know.
This sounds
Crazy
like a
Taxi
horrible
zombie
experiment.
version?
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
But
You
I
completely
found
not
myself.
sold me on this. I want to drive zombies around and take them to
I
the
gave it
destination.
a 5. I think I gave it a 5 out of 10, which is average. Like people think 5's bad, but 5 is like a solid
Unless it's
middle.
above a 7, it means crap. You know that. Come on, every video game.
A 5 is a solid middle ground. And I just found myself
no one
like
gets that by that being in the middle of the
No,
numbers.
no. If it's
no,
below
but
a 7, it's just terrible.
some developers and some people just look at 5 and say that's really low. Like people now are because of saturation of like criticism in the industry of 7, 8s and 9s on like so many
Some
platforms
low par games as well.
that people are now the norm for an average game is 7. But we need to take it back to the true format of 0 is bad, 10 is good, and 5's all right.
5 is in the middle. It's just an average game.
Yeah.
People don't get that. It annoys me. It's like
And
a
it makes
game-
them angry, and you're like, that's a fair... Like, if it's... Like, because Zombie Driver, I kept going back, and I played it solid for... I kept playing it, and I was, like, listening to podcasts, playing Zombie Driver, watching YouTube videos, playing Zombie Driver, because there was a lot of content in it, and there was a good challenge. But I don't feel like... It was an average game, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't a bad game, but I don't think that I should have given it a higher score so that it was closer to being near games like Dying Light or Sunset Overdrive, because obviously Sunset Overdrive and Dying Light, a lot more effort went into those games, and there's a lot more to them.
You don't know. It could have taken 10 years to make Zombie Driver. It could have been one man in his
I
basement.
would just the effort of developers.
Yeah.
Just it didn't quite reach the same level.
We sit comfortably playing video games. They sit making them. I think.
That's true, but then again,
But I agree with you on the
this
release scores.
game it literally apes and chucks in some zombies from GTA London, which was made a long time ago. So if you made that game, I can't remember when Zombie Driver originally came out on PC, but I don't think it was near the time of London. So
I doubt that because London's pretty old.
it might
Pretty old.
it was at least 90s. It might have been earlier than 9. I think it was 90s though.
Imagine
97,
if
I
it was a
think.
proper PC game, it would have been 90s.
Yeah, I think it was before the London Eye was built, so quite a while ago.
Okay.
No,
I think a few years maybe.
The thing you got is, I think with ratings, we've been used to always like the 6 being the lowest if it was a bad game at the moment. While I think on the other hand we have movies, and that's where you get away with it. So you can give a 4 or a 5 for an average or bad movie, and it's okay. So I think it's just the difference between the two.
I think that critics are also really scared because, unlike the film industry, in gaming, you say one wrong thing to the wrong person, then everyone's going to shut you down. Like,
It's like Skyrim with guns. It's the best part ever.
if you go up to someone and they've made a shitty game, and then you start asking them hard questions they don't want to answer, they're not going to give you an interview. And then everyone else is going to be like, that person looks like they're going to cause trouble, so no one else is going to give you an interview. So people are just pandering to developers.
What are you doing in interviews, man?
No, like
Why are you scaring them?
I've seen like this happen with like Total Biscuits discussed it and stuff, and
Oh yeah, but you've also, I think it depends who you are, because people like Richard Lewis, who does OGN for League of Legends and has his own Twitch stream and things like that, he asks really hard questions and he shouts at game developers lots, and he's a bit of an asshole.
but does he have a big fan base?
He does have a big
So
fan
he has the
base,
support.
yes.
But like rising hopefuls like us, we couldn't do stuff like that.
But at the end of the day, Richard Lewis, when he started off, he was like that the entire way through. He hasn't changed with suddenly being pandering to big game developers and companies to suddenly critiquing them, because that's how he truly feels.
There are some people like that which are, I think they are the heroes of I'd say sort of amateur online critics. Like we got Angry Joe, who doesn't take anyone's shit. If there's a problem, he'll go straight to the developer and he'll be like, there's a problem here. And we need figures like that.
But he's got a considerable fan base as well.
Yeah, I know, but so does
Richard Lewis.
Yeah.
Okay.
But those people are very important because they're
key.
if we can't ask those questions, they can ask them.
But it takes people like us to start asking these questions and keep doing it, really, doesn't it?
Stop the little people on this.
Yeah.
Stop the little man.
We're all in this together.
Warwick Davis.
No High School Musical.
Yeah. Let's start Warwick Davis about video games. Let's just
Oh,
talk to Warwick Davis.
From Warwick
He knows what's
Davis,
going on.
can we just segue onto... Is it segue?
Yeah, but it's very bad when you say it.
Okay. Let's
not subtle.
let's segue even harder onto... Have you guys seen the franchise called Leprechaun
Yeah.
with Warwick Davis? Have you seen the
That's really
fourth one?
That's Warwick Davis. And
Is
his
that
gaming
in
knowledge.
space or is that Back
In
to the
space.
Hood? Oh, Back to the Hood's
Back
the
to the
second
Hood
one,
is
isn't
good.
it?
No, Back to the Hood's the fifth one.
The fifth one.
Fifth one.
Oh.
There are 5 Leprechaun
There are
games.
5 Leprechaun
films.
Yeah.
films.
featuring Warwick. Well,
Have you
starring.
seen the new one?
Oh yeah, they're coming on to Netflix.
The new one is worse than
Jennifer
all
Aniston?
5
Next
of
month,
them.
they are
What's the
they are
new
bringing
one?
the
Where
Leprechaun
can you-
films onto Netflix.
Are they?
Yes,
Where can
they
you
are.
go with Leprechaun once you've been to the Hood and
Well,
space?
it wasn't Warwick Davis this time. WWE Films
Oh god.
bought the rights for Leprechaun and they cast Hornswoggle, who's a famous
Yeah,
wrestler.
Hornswoggle.
And he was Leprechaun, and he was like, You could tell it was Warwick Davis in the thing, like when he's riding the tricycle, you could tell
Yeah.
it's Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis got that walk, hasn't he?
He was like
you know,
a sort of weird brown creature in this one. He was like a turd, but it was awful. It made the other 5 look good.
But
and
to
they're
be
like
fair,
20 years old.
if you've seen Leprechaun in Space, like Leprechaun in Space is not actually that. Like, if you look at the production value, it's not that
impossible to say
bad.
Leprechaun in space without having a
Yeah.
little bit of a laugh.
It's a
Three
ridiculous
words,
premise,
isn't
but
it?
there are some cool like practical effects in that. Like, have you seen it, Deck?
I've seen segments.
There's this guy who like gets injected by the Leprechaun with this serum, which is like a blend. Like,
Please say it's a blend of like gold and rainbows.
no, Warwick Davis gets a scorpion and a spider, puts them in a blender, and then injects it into this guy who's like a robot, and then he turns into a scorpion spider like creature, and the practical effect of that was
Scorpion.
really
Do you
good.
ever wonder, like, what I went to the movies yesterday, and there's a new film coming out with Samuel L. Jackson, and this like sort of Rambo kid that's
Yeah.
sort of Russian, and the trailer was whack, and it makes me think, like, what screenwriters do, like, are they just smoking some serious like shit that just sends them over the edge, and then they just click and they go, I've got it, and then they just write it down, because I watched that trailer and I thought I was taking something.
That looks fantastic. I want to see it.
I don't know. I think people like.
There was a nuke in Air Force One or something. Oh, it was nuts.
Is it called Wild? Is that the film?
No, that's Reese Witherspoon. I don't know what.
No,
this
I know
one's
it's one where he's
called.
like
Samuel L.
he's the
Jackson
president
is
of
the black
America,
president.
and then
Yeah,
his kid.
that's
save
it.
him.
That's original. Samuel L. Jackson, because he's black and our current U.S. president is black.
I think that's the reason. I think because it's Samuel L. Jackson.
You know what I really hate? They make
That's the only reason anyone ever knew.
It's like last year we had like White House Down and the Olympus Rising. Why don't we have one about David Cameron?
The Olympus has fallen. Are you
Olympus
talking
Fallen.
about?
Olympus Rising will be the sequel where they just rebuild the White House.
No, but I want a Prime Minister.
And it's
film.
really boring. It's
Prime Minister.
literally just
big
construction.
females
work.
You have to
only,
save
because
David
when that
Cameron.
shirt comes off to do the heavy work,
They're trying to
it's
save
the
David
only
Cameron
way I
and
got
Nick
through
Clegg.
22 Jump
I
Street.
just
The
want-
credits at the end.
Is that too much to ask for a David Cameron
Was
film?
Jeremy Clarkson.
They are
comes
doing a
in.
David
No.
Cameron film.
Are they?
Yeah, there's one that's been released. It's all over the TV. Have you not seen it?
It's not
No.
a TV series.
Hmm?
Called. I forgot what it's called now.
Did
No,
you
it's
see
all
that,
about David
like-
Cameron, Gordon Brown, everything like that. They've
Yeah,
got
it's a TV
entire-
series.
Is it a TV
Really?
series? But yeah, they're releasing
It's
something
not
about
a comedy.
David
though.
Cameron.
It's not an action. It's not a kung fu
It's
film.
a serious one.
If it was a kung fu film with Nick
Yeah.
Clegg.
Did you see that like borderline propaganda film that the Sun made on David Cameron? It was called A Day in the Life of David Cameron, and it was literally like David Cameron's just a normal guy having a cuppa, and it's like this is so. It was like so fabricated. Like
And then
you-
ninjas break in, and he has to fight them.
Like, it was
That'd be
just
bad.
David Cameron doing normal stuff, and they were like, it was like, this is so fabricated, and you could just tell that he was trying to act like you could tell when he was talking, he was like, what would a normal person say?
Yeah,
Like-
of course, because politicians have no idea what normal people are like.
But yeah, so that's really funny.
Back to games, guys.
Let's
This
go back
isn't,
to
this isn't
games.
Politics Splash. It's Games Splash.
Just get us
Politic-
away from the
Politics
politics.
Splash.
Yeah.
With the old,
Let's go back to video game
Just
politics.
remind me of
The important stuff.
Gamergate.
That's what
Milo,
matters.
Ip Man. Have you seen the trailer for Ip Man 3?
Is this a game or a film?
It's
a
a film.
IP Man, the guy who trained Bruce Lee.
Yeah. They have Mike Tyson, CGI Bruce Lee,
Oh,
and
no.
the original IP Man.
Now I'm interested. However, I just downloaded Scooby-Doo versus WWE, so my night is...
Oh, God.
Yeah, that sounds pretty damn solid.
And then there's a sequel to Flintstones versus WWE. My night is sorted, guys. I don't need anything else in life.
Are
Who
we
needs
gonna-
video games and you've got the Flintstones fighting John Cena?
Are we going to try and finish the segment of what games we played?
That would be
Oh,
good.
yeah, Zach, what have
Jack,
you been
what
playing?
have I- That's fantastic.
Oh, I've been really boring recently. Today,
thanks for keeping us
today I'm
suspense all this
actually,
time.
I'm getting a new game today. I've been debating whether to get it. It's not like a big game to get, but
Bloodborne?
That's not out yet, is it?
recently, no, that's the end of the
Saturday.
month. Recently,
It's installed on my PS4.
I recently got back into WWE, and I loved it as a
Yes.
child.
Yeah.
It is like we've already brought it up twice today. Like
I can see now why you
sort of
want to get
subliminal
back to
messaging.
Can you
But,
play
um,
Scooby-Doo in it?
No,
You
but
could probably
I
try and make
I
one.
bought
6 out of 10.
I bought the game for this year today.
What,
So,
2015, is it?
Yeah, 2K15. But that's mainly because like what I've been playing recently is sport games, Because I always get sport games every year, and I always love playing them. I love having my Final Fantasies and stuff like that.
Final Fantasy is a sports game.
I mean having like other type of genres, other genres. But I do have my sports games. So 2K is one of those companies that has really tried to outshine EA, because I've played EA games for about 6 or 7 years, and I played new ones every year, Madden, FIFA, everything like that. And it's the same thing. I started playing PES when I was younger, when I had a PS2. Saw that instantly go out of the way and replaced by FIFA.
Yeah.
But 2K, which I've noticed recently because I've played the 2K14 and 15 basketball games, the NBA games, and the detail they bring into it's in every aspect. They bring in like silly cinematics where they'll actually get the players' voices to come in and actually act out. They'll get actual voices from games and commentary like that. And it's just a lot smoother, and there's so much detail compared to the EA games, and that's why I was so intrigued.
They put actual work in instead of just copy pasting the previous
That's what it
iterations.
feels like. But because 2K have had, when I played the old WWE games like SmackDown vs Raw, 2006, SmackDown vs Raw featuring ECW and everything like that, and even the old PS2 ones where it was like "Don't Back Down" or something like when it was WWF, with Brock Lesnar on the front. The different company now that makes them is 2K. So 2K brought the rights for WWE games. They made them for 4 years now. I think they've done 12, 13, 14 and 15. And I'm interested to see that detail go into a WWE game, because that's always what's needed. Because if you think about it, like WWE, the main thing about them, yes, we've got the fighting, but it's the storyline and the writers, and that's the big thing that keeps people interested. I know it's quite sad, but
it's horrible.
But
I love
when they get a good storyline, it's really easy to get into it. It's like a good film or a good TV show.
It's like a man's version of a teenage rom-com, like a
soap
opera.
I don't know.
It's like Mean Girls,
soap opera.
Maybe less tears though.
Yeah.
No, I cry. And John
More
Cena-
sweat.
I mean, Undertaker lost last year. I was in tears.
I think one of the key elements of WWE games is definitely customization.
Yeah. That's one thing they've taken out this year, and I know that's one
That's
one big criticism they have received, is they took the customization.
Because you could
out.
customize a lot, couldn't you?
But I think what I ever saw of the customization is I saw people playing it on YouTube and making the most outrageous, like, green Shrek monster fighting this tiny little midget, and I feel like they've probably taken it out to try and bring a bit more realism to it, so you can't be a giant green Shrek monster.
I remember.
Why would anyone play this game?
But DLC.
Shrek, that's why they're going to release it as DLC. £20, and you can customize your own character.
Let's talk about DLC actually. What does everyone think about DLC?
Depends on the game.
In the current gaming climate,
It's quite risky recently because, like, I was fooled into it. I've played the Assassin's Creed franchise since it began. I played every little bit of that. I've watched every movie on it, watched every comic on it, little shorts. And I bought season pass for Unity, and that we all saw how that went with Ubisoft.
Yeah, Unity was a bit of a plane
It was a bit of a
crash.
disaster. So because of the disaster they had for about the first month, and then I actually waited to play it. I put myself off playing it, and I didn't play it until November, December. So the game had been out for a long time because I really wanted to play Rogue on 360, and so I wanted to play that first. So I completed that, and that really surprised me. Because separate review, but that really surprised me because it was meant to be. It was just finishing off. It was just sweeping the North American storyline under the carpet, I guess. But
is Rogue the one where you play as? Is it the woman?
Shay Cormac, the Templar.
Is she a woman?
No.
Is it the one with, what's the one with the woman on the front?
That's Aveline.
That's from Liberations. The Vita original game thing.
Yeah, they did
There is a
re-release a
360
HD version on 360,
Okay.
but the graphics were dreadful.
Oh, okay.
Because they pushed themselves too much trying to make the handheld into a game again.
Yeah.
But like that really surprised me. That was one of the best in the actual franchise. It was crazy.
But that's the thing, though. There was two separate teams working on it, though,
Yeah.
weren't they? And I think the team that did Rogue was so much better. The problem, I think, with Unity is the fact that they hyped it up so much and they released it too early. I mean, yeah, I know they kept on pushing the release date,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, if the game's not finished, don't release it. Because they ruined the entire game for everybody because of the glitches that went through and the fact that it wasn't smooth enough and just people didn't enjoy it whatsoever. And Ubisoft...
Who published Unity?
It's Ubisoft Montreal, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the thing that I didn't get is I played it later, so we'd had all these big patches that had come through. I remember the downloads were the patches, just because I'd heard, I was like, oh, it's fixed now, I'll just give it a try now. And it was all still there. I had bits there where the whole cinematics were ruined because one character's face would just disappear. You just have floating eyes. And it's scary. It added a bit of fear. But the one thing I struggled with Unity, it really was the worst one. It was the biggest kick in the teeth. I don't want to spoil it, but the ending was so stupid, and it was like the whole game was a waste of time. That's basically what it felt like. And I tried the DLC for Dead Kings, which was meant to be the big fix. It was meant to really give it that new ending that was better. Yeah. It was broken. As well, there was a mission where you had to find this child again after you just saved him, and he doesn't appear on the map. It took me, I think,
to find the inner child.
4 hours to find him, because you literally had to search up and down the whole new town. It was a joke, but I couldn't not hate Assassin's Creed for it, because it is one of my favourite. That and Mass Effect are my two favourite game franchises. Yeah. So, but with a season pass, I got refunded. Well, I didn't get refunded. We got a free game. Because they must have lost a lot of money, because there was the what's the other new Ubisoft one?
Far Cry.
Didn't they get? Yeah, they gave away.
That's what I got. They gave away Far Cry 4, which was just released. Yeah. They had to give away that for free.
Far Cry 4, they actually did a good job on. I enjoyed Far Cry.
£20. Like, I paid £20 and I got Far Cry 4.
Yeah.
And Unity.
Well, you got the shell of Unity.
Yeah, if you can call it that. But
begging for death.
Just the story
it proves how much Ubisoft had fallen with Unity. The fact that they had to give away a brand new game, which was absolutely fantastic.
I don't think it's just Ubisoft. I think it's a dangerous precedent that massive publishers are setting. They just don't care. Like we saw it with Sims.
They don't care, but they're trying to get the profits. They do care. I mean, I think things like with Square Enix and the new Final Fantasy, we've been waiting this for a while now, because they've been producing it for a while before.
But they still need to pay for their demo.
You know, I don't think they do care.
Really?
Yeah, you have to buy Type 0 to get the demo.
Oh my god, that's quite sneaky.
It's clear Ubisoft do care, because if they didn't, they
I mean big publishers as a whole, because well, obviously EA is the linchpin of this sort of behaviour, because we saw SimCity released on the PC
to mass acclaim.
I played that on launch, and that was the most
If you read my article on...
I thought it was alright.
It was not smooth for me at all.
If you read my article on the 5 reasons that EA might just ruin Battlefront, one of the reasons was just SimCity, because literally Charlie Sheen was more stable during the Tiger Blood era than SimCity servers were on launch.
Old. Were we born then?
I mean,
this is Danny Mac though, lover of 70s music,
and then there's like The Sims 3. This is a Sims trend, it seems. The Sims 3, apparently that was just totally abandoned. Like, it didn't work for the 360. I have friends who got it
on 360.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And apparently you get to a certain... I can't remember what my friend exactly said, but he said you get to a certain point in the game, or something happens in the game, and then it crashes and it doesn't work.
I think at one point it was whenever death appeared, it would crash.
And then they just
it's like death killed your Xbox.
What symbolism?
They did that on purpose.
It is beautiful symbolism. However, there are some great moments in it, like the moment where Death had to deliver a baby, and he was just kind of running around, panicked, because one of my Sims was pregnant. And it was having a baby when Death appeared to take her husband or whatever, and Death ended up staying to help deliver this baby, and he just like. That facial expression for the entire
just stayed
thing.
And raised it. And then, like, a little Grim Reaper running around the house.
To be fair, about 20 minutes, about 2 minutes later, my Xbox crashed. So yeah, Death appeared, delivered a baby, and then killed my Xbox.
I just I don't really get it with Sims. I don't think they ruined Battlefront. Didn't they have parts to play in number 2? I swear that EA had something to do with Battlefront 2.
Well, I think the thing is, when Battlefront 2 came out, it was simpler times. You bought a game.
There was no online play.
You bought a game, and you got a game, and the game wasn't actually finished. Like, you bought a product, and like when you go out and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy this Mars bar. You get a Mars bar. You don't get half a Mars bar and have to pay for the other half to fucking tack it on.
The biggest worry about it is that it might be one of those things where you buy the disc, which is just like a key to get into the servers, which is where the game's held.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
That's going to be a big issue.
Like a League of Legends thing, where you don't actually own any of the stuff.
That's my
It's
biggest
all online.
worry, that it's going to be
I
online
think
only.
it's difficult with that. I mean, like with PlayStations and everything like that, most people, yes, online is a very big thing now, but they don't want to have to go online to play their games all the time, which will drastically make differences.
I think that was one of the main
people
reasons.
are going to buy games or not. But it's also things like Uplay with Ubisoft.
Oh,
Ubisoft
Uplay.
game. Uplay screws everything up. I mean, the act of having to log into Uplay is the most torturous experience I've ever had on a PlayStation 4. I literally wanted to cry because no matter how many times I put in the right email and the right password, because I reset my password and they told me it still won't work.
Uplay and Origin are not going to happen.
Am I blessed? I have no problem with either of these services.
Yeah, no.
I just get on with my
That
games.
was the smoothest thing when I played Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah, it's
the
like
smoothest
three.
thing was Uplay.
No,
you go and watch.
Uplay's
It's
always
the best
been
thing
a
in Watch Dogs.
bitch.
The Uplay.
Absolute bitch.
Okay, well, we're just about hitting time for our first podcast, so we're going to wrap it up here. This has been the first GameSplash podcast with me, Danny Mack, Tallulah. Do you want to say anything? Do you want to plug anything before we leave?
Listen again, please.
Listen again. Deck, anything to sell us?
Hi, Mum.
Okay, Milo, you're obviously from Gateway Gamer.
Check out the gatewaygamer.com and gamingcapacity.com so I can eat tonight because I am starving. And it's been a pleasure.
Okay, well, thank you guys.